What's good, y'all? I'm about to react to We Saw Why Doctor Doom Took Tony Stark's Face. Why it had to be Iron Man. Dang, okay. Okay, this is gonna be a twisting video right here. Everything always okay. What's up with this? What's up?
What's going on, guys? Welcome to Everything Always. My name is Michael Roman, aka Allfires. Now, the Russos have promised that Avengers Doomsday is going to deal with the wake of Tony Stark's death, and a lot of us took that to mean also addressing why in the world Victor Von Doom has Tony Stark from the 616's face. But something has always bothered me about this fact. Why would you want Tony Stark's face? Indeed, a lot of the characters in the MCU from the Infinity Saga had deep emotional ties and or history on the battlefield alongside Tony Stark and Iron Man, but when it comes to the multiverse saga, most of these characters are newly introduced, new to the Avengers party, so to speak, don't have any history with Tony Stark other than knowing who he was as a part of the MCU and a symbol of the Avengers. And outside of that, the characters that hang over that have been influential and during this part of the saga, say like Doctor Strange, don't have as an emotional tie as, say, a character like obviously Spider-Man. But for reasons we'll get into during this video, unless there's something we don't know about Peter Parker, and given his predicament basically resetting himself to a complete anonymous in the 616, he certainly doesn't have enough influence or reason to merit Victor Von Doom specifically choosing Tony Stark's face. And outside of Spider-Man, characters that were closest to Tony Stark, say like Rhodey and Pepper Potts, surely don't have much to do with the fate of the universe as we enter Avengers Doomsday. So again, it begs the question, why did Victor Von Doom specifically choose Tony Stark from the 616's face? Well, we think we...
I'm kind of still wondering if we're gonna get that Armor Wars project, because they was talking about making like an Armor Wars project. But I wonder what phases that's gonna come, because I think we in phase 6 right now. About to be in phase 7. But I think phase 6 is like Spider-Man Brand New Day, Avengers Doomsday. Was Doctor Strange 3, but it done canceled, and Simpsons done took that over. And that's supposed to be Secret Wars. Then I don't know what's supposed to come after that. I think it's supposed to get Vision. I think we're getting Vision Quest next year too. But
figured out the answer, and if true, there is one specific character he needs by his side that will create a domino effect where his influence will be absolute as he looks for followers on his conquest to build Battleworld. We're going to break it all down, the reason why Victor Von Doom specifically chose Tony Stark's face. But first, if you could grab the subscribe button. We do daily Marvel content at the channel. That's all we do. Thanks to everyone who's been helping grow the channel, again, at a breakneck pace. And if you haven't already, I would just kindly invite you to do so. Whether this is your first time finding the channel or you've been rocking with us for a while, I would sincerely appreciate your sub. It's the best way to support us. Plus, it'll end you for the giveaways. All you got to do, be a sub, leave a comment. If you want, stick around to the end of the video. We get into all the giveaway stuff again there. Now, two things before we jump into this. First of all, we've seen from variants across the multiverse in canon that sometimes they happen to look like each other. Go back to Loki season 1, and some of the variants he was introduced to were mirror images of Tom Hiddleston. So, it could be the case that Victor Von Doom...
I ain't gonna lie. I want all them Lokis that was in season 1 gonna be like in Avengers Secret Wars. Just off the top of something like a funny topic or like a funny character would show up and it'd be like one of his variants. Or I wanna know is like, can his other variants have the same power as him, or is like different? I know it's like different variants of him, but I wanna know all of them got like the same power they could do. But I ain't out there saying, I don't think Loki can die. Even though we seen all his variants in season 1, would they come back and try to help him once he probably like been defeated by Doctor Doom, or help him out to give him like more power in that? Cause you know Loki got time and all that. But yeah, but I don't know. I don't know. Be cool to see one
happens to look exactly like Tony Stark. And while there was an argument, at least for a while, that we really only saw variants that looked like doppelgangers when they were of the same entity, we've seen now that Chris Evans is both Steve Rogers and Johnny Storm, depending on where you're at in the multiverse, not different variants of the same character, and they do look exactly the same. So that logic is out the window, and there is canonical basis to say that that could be the case. But I think it is also fair to say that is not a very compelling storyline, and there's got to be be an obvious reason why Victor Von Doom is now appearing as Tony Stark, and we're going to take that line of logic, thinking that the Russos and everybody else don't want to just call it a coincidence. And by that very same logic, while they could choose to completely cover RDJ's face in scars and disfigurement, as Dr. Doom has presented in the comics from time to time, you don't pay RDJ money to come back and play Dr. Doom and then cover his face. It's very obvious that him looking like Tony Stark is part of the story, so we're going to proceed.
Yeah, I can't wait how this storyline plays out, boy. It's kind of awkward, though. I ain't gonna lie, like the audience there when RDJ was about to become Dr. Doom, they got up on their feet like, Dad, what's up? How they all knew this? Must be from comics wise, but movie wise, hey, RDJ, he done died. But for him to come back as Dr. Doom, it gotta be in the comics or something like that. And plus, they playing RDJ $2 million. He better do something, dude, for him to come back. Because it's supposed to be an Avengers Kang Dynasty movie. But they turned around and just made it Doomsday because Jonathan Majors got caught up in some stuff. And they should bring him back, give him a second chance at least. I want Jonathan Majors to come back as Kang the Conqueror. But for the Avengers probably to face another villain, I want to know, is he going to be there? I would like him to see him come back in Secret Wars, though. But I hope they bring back him as Kang the Conqueror, dude. Jonathan Majors, we need you back as Kang the Conqueror. And hopefully this movie be pretty interesting and good. Just like we about to get Spider-Man. Well, I know hopefully Spider-Man hints something of Dr. Doom. Or like of another multiverse that Tom Holland got to go to.
With that as our basis of
like
logic
that,
going
though.
forward, he needs Tony Stark's face for a specific reason. And if it's Tony Stark's face, then it means that that has to have influence over specific people and characters. But let's look at the 616 right now and who it could matter most to. Again, Spider-Man is the very obvious character with Peter Parker, but he's reset himself into basically being a complete unknown in the landscape of superheroes. Even if he is the anchor being in the 616, then surely it would be as easy as killing him. You wouldn't need to steal Dr. Doom's face to influence him to fight on your side, which is the reason you would present as his friend and mentor, Tony Stark. Then you look at the two super...
I also thought who would be a good younger Dr. Doom variant. I think Timothy Chalamet, whatever his name from Doom. I think he'll be a pretty good like younger Doom variant to become like a new version or like a new universe, new multiverse of Dr. Doom. It's like he'll really play a part though. He'll feel like he can play like a angry like type of Dr. Doom. If RDJ ever dies as Dr. Doom, hey, they can go ahead and get Timothy Chalamet
hero teams in the 616 as well, the two Avengers teams. One of them is basically headed up by Yelena Belova, again, no history with Tony Stark.
Or they could probably bring back the 015 Dr. Doom and try to make him out of something. Because I ain't gonna lie, that Dr. Doom 015, boy, it really showed how powerful he can really get. But I really didn't like how we could like see his face though. I mean, we can't like see his eyes or his mouth move like that. That's one thing I like. That's why I like the old design of the 05 Dr. Doom, how they made him. We can at least see some of his face, dog. But I would like to see that instead of just seeing like an AI version of his face, or just like technology like moving his
Bucky,
whole
who was
body
on the
parts,
opposite side of the
like
Civil
that.
War battle, and unless they had some sort of making up off screen, fought side by side in many battles, but never really ever reconciled in a way that we saw. And we've talked about this in the history of the MCU. Some characters have been in the same place at the same time, but have not shared on-screen dialogue simply because there is not enough time for it. And the other Avengers right now are led by none other than Sam Wilson's Captain America. Again, a character...
I don't care nothing about the Avengers, dude. Nah. I don't care what Falcon got going on right now, dude. I swear, these Marvel movies really probably ain't gonna be the same. unleashing these new Avengers, dude. Like, it's like it ain't looking too good. I mean, if the Russo brothers can probably present them in probably a good, respectable manner how they did the first Avengers, I mean, it could be some hope there. But just me looking at this whole Avengers squad right now, ain't looking too good. It's not at all. Just Falcon. I think you got Sam Wilson as Captain America. You got Falcon, his partner on that movie. I want to know, does Red Hulk become a villain or he become a superhero? If they gonna make him, cause I ain't gonna lie, I would like to see Red Hulk be like a superhero though. I would like to see that, but I would like him be as a villain though. But they'd be pretty cool. They'll switch it up for the Red Hulk. Even though we got Fantastic Four. I forgot to say Thunderbolt. I don't care about Thunderbolt Squad. I don't even care about none of them. Except for Sentry though. Sentry, I like Sentry, dog. Sentry pretty cool, but Fantastic Four, I ain't gonna lie, I liked all of them. I liked all of them. But I ain't gonna lie, we really did get like the weaker Reed Richards. Like I feel I did like a comparison from '05 to '15, and we really did get like a more weaker Reed Richards from Pedro Pascal, and we did get a stronger Human Torch from blonde-headed dude. I forgot his name. The only actor I remember is Pedro Pascal, cause he just up everywhere around Hollywood, and you know he be doing stuff that people really be analyzing. Like, okay, Dad, how did this dude become this big in Hollywood? He going around doing this in Hollywood and stuff like that. I just found all types of stuff on Twitter and YouTube, people talking about this dude, but it is what it is, man. But we did get weaker Reed Richards. We did get a stronger Invisible Woman. I'll tell you that. I think we got a stronger Human Torch too. The Thing, I want to know, why did they edit a beard on the Thing? That looks so goofy. I just don't like that. I like the Thing from '05 and '15, but '15, the Thing, that's my favorite one. Even though that movie wasn't good, I like that '15 Thing. Yeah, pretty much. I thought we would see Doctor Doom, but they they made a very good Galactus, I would say. Even though they made like a doo-doo Galaxy Galactus from the '07 Fantastic Four, but they made like a pretty good Galactus from Fantastic Four, a recent movie. I like that Galactus, dude. But he should have had more film time, more scenes, get more familiar with Galactus, because I really don't know much of him. Just his whole big persona, just his bigness, giant self, like Ant-Man almost.
Character that was on the opposite side of Civil War on Team Cap, and if they had some sort of big reconciling as they pressed forward, it wouldn't have been during the beginning of Avengers Endgame. Remember, Sam and Bucky were both snapped, and then Tony Stark died right as they were unsnapped. So again, unless something happened off screen after Civil War and before Infinity War, and it's unlikely because Tony Stark wouldn't even call Cap, let alone these other two, they probably, unless something they pressed forward, it wouldn't have been during the beginning of Avengers Endgame. Remember, Sam and Bucky were both snapped, and then Tony Stark died right as they were unsnapped. So again, unless something happened off screen after Civil War and before Infinity War, and it's unlikely because Tony Stark wouldn't even call Cap, let alone these other two, they probably weren't on the best of terms, or rather, we don't really know how Sam and Bucky felt at the time. They may have sort of softened up about it now, but just keep in mind they would have fought during Civil War, then they would have been incarcerated with Tony Stark basically a part of that, then they would have been on the run as the Secret Avengers, and Bucky was in Wakanda, and then they got snapped back into existence when Tony Stark died. So there was really no sort of comeback, no
Dang, bro, he kind of made a whole nother move from that perspective. I never thought of that. Let me hear that one more time. I'm off a little bit.
Bucky were both snapped, opposite side of Civil War on Team Cap, and if they had some sort of big by none other than Sam Saw, and we've talked about this in the history of the MCU. Some characters have been in the same place at the same time, but have not shared on-screen dialogue simply because there is not enough time for it. And the other Avengers right now are led by none other than Sam Wilson's Captain America. Again, a character that was on the opposite side of Civil War on Team Cap, and if they had some sort of big reconciling as they pressed forward, it wouldn't have been during the beginning of Avengers Endgame. Remember, Sam and Bucky were both snapped, and then Tony Stark died right as they were unsnapped. So again, unless something happened off screen after Civil War and before Infinity War, and it's unlikely because Tony Stark wouldn't even call Cap, let alone these other two, they probably weren't on the best of terms, or rather, we don't really know how Sam and Bucky felt at the time. They may have sort of softened up about it now, but just keep in mind they would have fought during Civil War, then they would have been incarcerated with Tony Stark basically a part of that, then they would have been on the run as the Secret Avengers, and Bucky was in Wakanda, and then they got snapped back into existence when Tony Stark died. So there was really no sort of...
Yeah, he did. You got a point there, everything always. But I want to know if there is like any other deleted scenes from Endgame or Avengers Infinity War. I just wonder. It got to be like some more deleted scenes that they had just to show what happened between that snap. I'm still wondering, did the Hulk snap brought back all those people from Endgame? That's what I'm wondering, because there were two snaps in that movie. As I was rewatching that movie, kept rewatching, I was like, dang, did Hulk brought back all those people? Or they just came out the blue because Captain America know he needed help against Thanos' army, because he was the one-man army against everybody till he called up everybody else. Because he know he wasn't going to win against Thanos' army just by himself. And Iron Man and Thor, they was down there ain't doing nothing. Like, they was dead almost. But Captain America, he got up, put on that shield, restrapped it to his arm, got up with and had Thor's hammer too. Yeah, he did have Thor's hammer though. But he know he was not going to defeat Thanos by himself. But it's kind of crazy though. But man,
comeback, no discussion about what happened. You can imagine that if Tony Stark or Victor Von Doom as Tony Stark showed up right now to try to have influence over either of the leaders of these two new Avengers teams, I guess the Avengers and the new Avengers, that it wouldn't be that great of a present. Surely there were other characters that would mean more to both Bucky and Sam Wilson, like Steve Rogers, Captain America. And that's why Victor Von Doom specifically needs Tony's face. He needs to sway Captain America, Steve Rogers' variant that is now back in time, alongside Peggy, to fight alongside him so he can bring Steve alongside him to the 616. And instantly, he will have both Avengers teams, because Bucky's on one and Sam's on the other, convinced and joining his side, because really they'll be following Steve, and Steve will be following Victor Von Doom because Steve will be convinced that Victor Von Doom is a hero. Victor Von Doom is Tony Stark. Now, why would Victor Von Doom need Steve Rogers?
Okay, that's kind of a point. Hello.
Characters that would mean more to both
now.
Bucky and Sam. New Avengers teams, I guess the Avengers and the new Avengers, that it wouldn't be that great of a present. Surely there were other characters that would mean more to both Bucky and Sam Wilson, like Steve Rogers, Captain America. And that's why Victor Von Doom specifically needs Tony's face. He needs to sway Captain America, Steve Rogers' variant that is now back in time, alongside Peggy, to fight alongside him so he can bring Steve alongside him to the 616, and instantly he will have both Avengers teams, because Bucky's on one and Sam's on the other, convinced and joining his side, because really they'll be following Steve, and Steve will be following Victor Von Doom because Steve will be convinced that Victor Von Doom is a hero. Victor Von Doom is Tony Stark. Now, why would Victor Von Doom need Steve Rogers and two Avengers teams, and presumably maybe by extension the Fantastic Four, all to be siding with him? Who's he going up against that he needs all these heroes? Well, clearly the villain that they're going up against is our now new hero in Loki. Loki has not had a chance to redeem himself the way.
Oh shoot. God, dog, that's kind of a point right there. Cause dang, cause I know I hate to even say this though, but maybe Iron Man, he want to be in charge all the time, but Captain America's always in charge of Avengers, tell them what to do, what not to do, and Tony Stark, he really be the mastermind. He be the rich dude, kind of be everything. He was the start of Phase 1, but so Tony Stark, he really wants to be in charge. He really wants to be a leader. He probably wants to be a better leader than Captain America ever once did. Be a better fighter, a human, have his stamp of approval. Cause I think Tony Stark's dad done built like a whole something for like, I don't forgot, it was in Captain America Civil War though. But I guess Tony Stark wants to be a better leader than Captain America. That's what he's mean. What's he talking about? He want to have his own whole Avengers squad, better probably under his hand.
That we saw all these heroes.
saying.
Well, clearly,
I guess
the villain that they're going up against is our now new hero in Loki. Loki has not had a chance to redeem himself the way that we saw in Loki Season 1 and Season 2 in the eyes of most of the Avengers. In fact, what they'll remember is that Loki invaded New York and was a villain in Avengers 1. So, if you had someone who looks like Tony Stark show up to Steve Rogers and say, Loki is the main villain, he's now controlling the multiverse. What they'll remember is that Loki invaded New York and was a villain in Avengers 1. So, if you had someone who looks like Tony Stark show up to Steve Rogers and say, Loki is the main villain, he's now controlling the multiverse, he's causing incursions, wiping out trillions of lives, and I need your help to defeat Loki in order to set the multiverse free, Steve Rogers, looking at a doppelganger of Tony Stark, would be inclined to help, coming fresh off of a battle with Thanos, knowing that he'd returned the Infinity Stones, but that Loki is still a threat. And now at the report that he would be at the center of the multiverse, and that they need all the heroes to battle him, well, you can see why he would then take Steve to the two new Avengers teams. But where the rub of all of this goes is that as soon as the Fantastic Four make contact with our Avengers, and we know that's happening 100% because Kevin Feige has confirmed some of our heroes are going back to the 828, then it'll be pretty clear that Doctor Doom is a villain and not a hero, and I think it'll just be a case of racing to see who gets to whom first and which side they take. But you guys let me know all your thoughts down below about this theory.
Golly, that's a wild theory, dude. It's like they kind of rewriting the first Avengers film and putting it with Doomsday. And then they gonna put like everything that happened from the first Avengers, Age of Ultron, Infinity War, Endgame, all with Secret Wars and probably the first X-Men films and rest of the X-Men films down the line, all in the Secret Wars, and that's how they did Endgame. So, dang. So they're trying to make like Loki like the villain again, if you're trying to mistakenly say that. Well, he ain't a villain now, so he got to control time, but they're trying to put his... So Dr. Doom, Tony Stark's trying to put his perspective of how Loki is the villain again, trying to get Captain America and the other Avengers on his squad because really is a bad person. Loki really is a bad person again with all the time and all the incursion that's going on with him. And dang, dude, that's kind of a lot to think about right there. Yo, dang. Yo, this sound, I ain't gonna lie, now this movie sounds good right now. It sounds more interesting. It's like it's the same outcome from the first one, but with a different perspective now that Loki got all the power and time now. Instead, Loki had like the army with him in New York. try to take over the Avengers and take over the whole world. But that, yeah. But Loki really is not a good guy. I mean, Loki is a good guy now. But Tony Stark, Doctor Doom is trying to paint a picture that he really is a bad guy. And Doctor Doom, he really want his timeline. He really want his like incursions and his multiverse to be his. And yeah, dad, that's kind of wild. You say it like
Again,
that.
there's got to be a specific reason he wants Tony Stark's face, and it's definitely not Spider-Man. Outside of Spider-Man, to me, the only person left that matters right now in this moment is Steve Rogers. Of course, it won't hurt when the OGs like Hawkeye and Thor and Hulk all see Tony Stark's face, but they don't have the same influence and won't the way that Steve Rogers will over the two current Avengers teams that happen to have Bucky and Sam Wilson, his two closest friends, at the head of both of them. You let me know all your thoughts down in the comments quickly. Let's get into the giveaway stuff before I let you go. All right, we are doing here live Twitter at go viral.
Wow, how he put it as that way, I can really see that playing out, really. Dad, I ain't gonna lie, they could really like go back, like the Russo bro, they can really go back in time for some like Avengers movies, rewrite some stuff, and like do like a different outcome of how everything could play out. Dad, maybe that's probably gonna be a Doomsday, honestly. That's probably the Doomsday script right there. But dad, we really ain't seen like no Loki, like no Loki screenshots yet for like Avengers Doomsday. But I don't think they still finished with the movie. I don't think so. Yo, how everything always just said it. Dang, that's kind of wild outcome trying to like comprehend. Dad, that's a lot what he said on his theory. I ain't gonna lie. It might be true everything always, but this was a pretty good video by you. And run them views up for your boy, man. And I catch y'all later. Peace.